All right, so it's 5 a.m. and we are getting ready to head out to the gym. Then gonna get ready and go drive to Greensboro, North Carolina, because I want to see this guy, Coach Michael Burt. So he's speaking at a local event, and you know, since I went to the Allies Mastermind with Chris Rude and met this guy, I've read 3 of his books, done one of his courses. I just, some people you just really kind of resonate with.
Feel like doing something. How many of you have ever had a day you didn't feel like doing something? Okay, listen to what I'm about to tell you, because I was a women's basketball coach for 13 years and built a national championship team. And during that period, one of the things I realized is that amateurs listen to their feelings. Professionals do not listen to their feelings. I don't feel like prospecting. I don't feel like following up. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like doing this. And I was speaking at an event in Florida once, and the broker came to me. He was a real estate agent, and the broker came to me and said, "Man, I just want to apologize, Coach." He said, we're going to have small attendance today because it's raining. And when it rains, a lot of our real estate agents don't come to the office. They don't show up. And I said, hold on a second. When it rains, they don't show up? Is that what you're telling me? He said, yeah, in Florida, it rains a lot. And when it rains, they don't show up. Now, let me ask you this question. How many of you today would like to leave your amateur desires behind and make a decision to go pro? Okay, raise your hand. How many of you would like to leave an amateur desire behind and make a decision to go pro? Because it is true, I have coached agents doing 500 transactions per year. I have coached agents. One of my top stories was a guy doing 35 deals per year. He was stuck at 35. Couldn't figure out how to get past 35. His company hired me to come in and coach the agents, and I would come in every month. He never took a note. He never said a word. He would just look at me, and it frustrated me as a coach so much. I'm like, this dude is not getting one thing that I'm telling him. That dude went from 35 deals to 219 deals. He went from number 43 in his market to number 1 in his market. And I said, man, you never took a note. You never said anything to me. He said, man, I was watching everything you said. And he said, I was an amateur. I listened to my feelings. On days I didn't want to work, I didn't work. On days I wanted to go to the lake, I went to the lake. He said, there's something that you did for me that activated something deep inside of me to want to leave those amateur desires behind and go pro. He went from making $50,000 a year to $50,000 a month, and somehow figured out how to pick up a beautiful wife in the equation. It's crazy how money will do that for you. You know what I'm saying? So he's living in a better house. He's living in a better house. He's driving a nicer car. He's got a beautiful wife. And he said, man, when you come into my life, Coach, he said, I was a 40-something-year-old just amateur, listening to my feelings every day. And he said, you activated something deep inside of me. So when I tell people to do things, and I say, look, I've coached agents that are doing 35 transactions to 219 deals. I've coached people that were selling 500 deals a year. I've coached some of the top agents in the country that have built teams that have 10,000 people on their team. I've coached those people because those people made a decision, and the word decide means to kill something off. The word decision means to cut something away. We got to decide, we got to cut something off. See, when you are helping a person make a decision to buy a house or sell a house, number one, you need to understand the only reason a person buys or sells a house is because they have a problem. Money changes hands when problems are solved. The bigger the problem, the more money people pay to solve that problem. You could solve a $279,000 problem for a person buying their first house, or you could solve a $2.79 million problem. Money changes hands when problems are solved. Back in those days when I was single, I had this beautiful house, and I'll get into my story a little bit. When I was a basketball coach, and I retired from being a basketball coach, and I started building this business, and I started making some money, and I built myself a custom house. All right, and I'm living in that house, and I got a pool house, and it's great, and all my buddies came over, and then I got married, and then I had a problem. Because my wife said, this is a great house, but it's not great for what? Kids. Now we got to sell this house, and we got to go buy another house. The reason people buy and sell houses is because they want something new, or they want to get rid of something they don't have. And when they do, studies tell me 67% of those people use the very first real estate agent they contact. They don't use the best one, they don't use the most experienced one, they don't use the best looking one, they use the first one, which is why this is a full contact sport. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. The more people you talk to, there is no wasted movement. So when you see me, I text message, I video, I get out there on social media, and I'm pushing, and I'm pushing, and I'm pushing, because I never know where the opportunity's coming, because when in doubt, I take an action. See, most people, when in doubt, they don't do anything. When I'm in doubt, I take an action. So when I told Stephanie, I said, what you need to do is it's to raise your person of interest score, to become known in the world. How many of you think that the people who are the most known get the most opportunity? I just want you to think about that. The real estate agents who are the most known get the most deals. The mortgage people who are the most known get the most opportunity. The more known you are, the more opportunity you get, which is why I wrote the book Person of Interest. And I said to become a person of interest, you need a podcast. You need to pump a message out. You need to be doing videos. You need to host an event. And I told other people that, but they didn't do it. They just kept doing what they've been doing. A new result requires a new preparation. Can we agree? We can't get a new result with an old way of thinking. We can't get new results doing the old things we used to do. So when I said you need to do an event, she said, I'm getting a theater. And I'm thinking, man, this girl's got some confidence. Confidence is the memory of success. It is an internal knowing that I can create or manifest. So when you think about this, money follows energy, money follows movement, money follows circulation. Money never follows whining. Money never follows, I don't feel like doing it. Okay, because I was raised in a small town in Tennessee. I was raised by a single mother who had me when she was 16 years old. I grew up really without my father. I never saw my dad. He never came to a baseball game. He never told me he loved me. He never really was there. And I don't blame him, because if my dad would have been everything I wanted him to be, I probably wouldn't be as tough as I am today. So should I be mad at him or should I thank him? See, I chose to thank him. Thank you, I owe you. I wouldn't be the coach I am today. I wouldn't have went on to be the championship coach I was if my dad would have been everything I wanted him to be. So my single mom would not let me miss a day of school. She's 16, she's a kid, she's having a kid, and she would not let me miss a day of school. And I hated that. Other kids got to miss school, other kids got to stay home, and mom would say, no sir, we dress up, we show up, we grow up, and we deliver. We don't whine, we don't complain, and we don't make excuses. And that's what I heard all of my upbringing. And then 40 years, when I was on the road just a couple years ago for like 14 days, and I was tired, and I was worn out, and I've been away from home for X number of days, and I didn't want to get up and go do what I had to do that day, which is motivate people. I picked up the phone and I called my mother, and I said, Mom, I want to thank you for teaching me how to dress up, how to show up, how to grow up, and how to deliver, and teaching me not to whine and not to complain, not making excuses. Now, the funny thing is, if I go a couple of days and I don't call my mother, I will call my mom and I say, hey, Mom. She'll say, who is this? And I said, what do you mean? It's your firstborn son. She said, who? She's like, I read your book, $1 Million Follow-Up. You're supposed to follow up 7 to 15 times with people. And you can't even call your own mama that brought you into the world? Here's what she says. That is an excuse. An excuse is a self-proclaimed opt-out clause. You could do it. You should do it. You are capable of doing it, but you didn't do it. I hear people say, well, I didn't prospect yesterday. I really want to go from doing 4 deals to 8 deals, but, yesterday I got busy, and I was too busy being fabulous, and I was so busy, right, helping these 1 or 2 people get a house that I didn't prospect, which is the number 1 thing you should be doing every day. The purpose of the business is to produce a customer, and the way you produce customers is through full contact sport. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. So I'm going to break down a book I wrote that became a Wall Street Journal bestseller called Flip the Switch. And it was my first Wall Street Journal bestseller. And I grew up in a very small town. And no one from my small town in Tennessee had ever written a Wall Street Journal bestseller. It took me 18 books, folks, to figure out how to write a Wall Street Journal bestseller. And what if I told you the only difference between book number 1 and book number 17, well, we don't sell book number 1. I actually don't want you to buy that one because it sucked. And I don't want you to buy book number 2 because it wasn't much better. And book number 3, I started to find a rhythm. And by book number 4, I was starting to get a little bit better. And on book number 18, I said, I'm going to make this book a Wall Street Journal bestseller. But I don't know how. Anytime you don't know how to do something, you either don't have the knowledge to do it, you don't have the skills to do it, you don't have the desire to do it, or you don't have the confidence to do it. See, some of you are out there going, I'd like to go from doing this many deals to this many deals, but you don't have the knowledge to do it, you don't have the skill to do it, you don't have the desire to do it, or you don't have the confidence to do it. When I'm coaching a real estate agent, when I'm coaching a mortgage person, I'm looking at them and I'm going, what is this person missing? Is it knowledge? Good thing is we can go get knowledge. Is it skill? Good thing is we can go get skill. Is it desire? It's hard for me to give you this one, isn't it? It's hard for me to implant my drive into you. If you don't have that thing, now it's hard for me to give you the knowledge, it's hard for me to give you the skill. Or they don't have the confidence, and confidence is a memory of success. It is an internal knowing that you can create or manifest. So I picked up the phone, and I called one of my friends named Ed Milet. You may know Ed Milet. He's real famous. And I called Ed Milet, and I said, I don't know who launched your book, but they did an incredible job. He sold like 55,000 copies the first day. And I said, who helped you? In between A and B, in between where you are and where you want to go, is always a who. It's never how. If I knew how to do it, I would have already done it. Yes or no? So I go, who helped you? And he said, a guy named Rory Vaden helped me. And I said, I need Rory Vaden's number. So I called Rory Vaden. I said, I need you to help me launch this book. I want it to be a Wall Street Journal bestseller or New York Times bestseller. And they said, well, Rory's busy. And I said, no. This is where persistence comes in. I said, make sure that you tell him Coach Burt wants to work with him. I got to have some time. And they said, okay, it's $18,000 for 3 hours, or it's $35,000 for the day. Now, how many of y'all think that's a lot of money? Raise your hand if you think that's a lot of money. Now, let's think about this. You look at it and you go, $18,000 for 3 hours? I want you to think about this. I didn't have a skill. I needed to go acquire a skill. I said, book me. I paid the $18,000. He gave me 5 strategies. I used the 5 strategies. I sold 10,000 units in the first week. I hit the Wall Street Journal list, number 4 in the Wall Street Journal list, and I accomplished a dream that I didn't know how to do 18 times. I didn't have the knowledge. I had the desire, but I didn't have the knowledge. I paid $18,000. Did I invest it, or did I spend it? See, now every book I write from this point forward, I know how to do it. It's like you going, hey, I don't know how to sell 100 houses. And so you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over until you go, you know what? Somebody knows how to do this. How can I spend time with them? How can I get in a room with them? And are you willing to invest the money? See, I wasn't investing in him. I was investing in me. See, a lot of people wait for the courage to come. They say, well, man, I got to wait for the timing to be right. Timing's never going to be right. If the timing was going to be right, I'd still be a high school basketball coach versus doing what I do today. If the timing had to be right, I would have never started this career. I would have just kept winning championships as a high school basketball coach. See, people use timing. Well, the time is not right to buy this house. And the time is not right to do this. And I say to people, I understand, but can't we all agree that we create our own timing? How do we create timing? By taking action, right? So, along the way, I started to learn these things, and I started building these things, and I started coaching these people. So really, we're going to break down this book, and this is me when I was a high school basketball coach. Look at the hair, folks. I coached girls basketball, and I had a full head of hair when I started. And when I finished, I had no hair. And then God blessed me with 2 very strong-willed daughters. Because I used to coach these strong-willed women. We got some strong-willed women in here? And I used to coach these real strong-willed women. And they would come to me, and their mamas and daddies couldn't handle them. And they said, Coach Burt, won't you take my daughter? Man, we can't. She don't have the discipline she needs. And they would show up with their kids at 14 years old, and they all said the same thing. Coach, my daughter has a lot of what? Attitude. Drama. Issues. Many times they said she has a lot of talent. How many of you have kids and you see talent in those kids? You see potential in those kids, which is an idea of embryonic growth that will be better today than we were yesterday. It is an idea of kinetic energy that is stored until activated. Who is coaching you is more important than who the President of the United States is. Who's coaching your kids is more important than who the President of the United States is. Because they will spend more time with your kids than almost anybody. I spent 5.5 hours a day with these players for 4 years. How many parents get to spend 5.5 hours with their kids at night? I was shaping and molding these kids into winners and people that knew how to win and how to show up and how to grow up and how to deliver. How many of you have ever had a good coach at some point in your life? Raise your hand if you ever had a good coach growing up. Did you always like that coach? Many times you went home and you talked about him and you whined about him and you complained about him. But guess what? Many years later, you know some of my very players that I coached 15 years ago are now paying me to coach them. It's the coolest thing in the world. I'm getting payback on all those years. I'm like, you going to pay me to be your coach today? And they're like, yes, sir. And I'm like, it's all coming full circle. Now, here's the deal. When I took over at this, I was 22 years old. I was the youngest head coach in the state of Tennessee at the second largest high school. And I said, we're going to be bigger, but we're going to be faster, but we're going to be stronger. And I was the first person to hire a strength and conditioning coach for girls. And the strength and conditioning coach came to me and said, what do you want to do? I said, I want them bigger, I want them faster, and I want them stronger. And the first year, 4 of my 5 starters got injured. They had torn ACL tears, which means they tore their anterior cruciate ligament during preseason conditioning. And I went to my team doctor and I said, what's the problem, doc? He said, you are the problem. He said, you're working these girls so hard, they've never worked this hard in their life. You're injuring all of your own players. And I said, okay, that's learning lesson number one. He said, the guy before you didn't work players as hard as you do. They don't know how to play at this intensity. Now, is there a lesson there? You don't know what an agent who's doing 200 deals a year looks like until you spend a day with them. You don't know what a person in the mortgage world doing $100 million looks like until you see how many calls do they make, how hard do they work, what time do they show up in the morning, when do they go home at night, when do they take calls. Let me ask you a question. Do they listen to their feelings when they don't feel like it? See, if somebody calls me on Saturday night and says, man, it's a very important deal, I got to do this deal, it's the only time I can talk to you this week, I say, man, I need to step out for 5 minutes and take this call because that money feeds my family. That money affords me my lifestyle. That money paid for the plane for me to fly over here on this morning. And I like flying on that plane. So guess what I do? I take the calls and I do the inconvenience. Is that not what we heard the young lady say right before me? Yes or no? Did we hear that? So only you can make a decision. Only you can make a decision on what amateur desires you have and leave those amateur desires behind and make a decision to go pro. And so when I took over this program, they had never won a championship in 30 years. Never won championship in 30 years. The body, the mind, the heart, and the spirit. And along the way, this is what I learned. Now look at these stats. Because as a basketball coach, what I learned was that the way you win championships is through offense. I hear people say defense wins championships. Defense doesn't win championships. What if you keep the other team from scoring, but you can't even score any points? Offense wins championships. And I knew that if we just had less than 7 turnovers in the game, if we had less than 14-second shots, if we stopped the other team 21 times in the game, that we won roughly 92% of the time, if we just did these things. And so we practice these things, and we practice these things, and we practice these things. Now, when I started coaching real estate people, here's the stats. The average person is going to buy 4 to 7 houses in their lifetime. How many of those would you like to get? That's what I hear them all over the country, right? All of them. Coach, I'd like to get all of them. Each satisfied person that you represent should be worth 5.7 referrals over the lifetime of the consumer. So if you're really good and you really help a person and you really care about a person, you should get every home they ever buy, and their kids and their cousins and their friends. You should get 4 to 7 deals over your lifetime from that person if you do it right. And not only that, you should get 5.7 referrals from every satisfied person over the lifetime of the consumer. So let's say you get 7 deals there, now you get 12 or 13 deals per person. But here's a stat, 98% of agents never call a customer back in a meaningful way once the transaction is over. I don't even like the word transaction. It means to discard. It means I don't need you anymore. So 98% never call a customer back. And here's what they say. Well, I didn't really, like that one. And, that one had a bad attitude, so I don't want to call them. And let me tell you what I like, folks. People that pay their bills. And I don't get mad at the money. I have 2,000 coaching clients right now. Do you think I like all of them? Do you think some of them don't have bad attitudes? Do you think some of them don't have, right? I don't get caught up in my feelings. I hear people say, well, I didn't like him because his southern accent, or he's not tall enough, or his bald head, or I don't listen to my feelings. Can I get better from that person or not? Am I pro or am I an amateur? Which is it going to be? So here's the stats. It takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a buyer. Does everybody hear that? That means from the time a person says, I'm interested in buying a house or selling a house, many times it takes 7 to 15 follow-ups to convert a person who wants to buy or sell something to they actually do it. Now, what do you think the national average is between real estate? What do you think the average is on people to follow up on leads in the real estate market? What do you think it is? This audience participation part.
1.
1.7. Now, 83% of all stats are made up, so I don't know if that's true or not. But here's what I do know. I do know that I have shown interest in real estate properties. I own about $25 million worth of real estate. Commercial, residential. I know that I go around the world and find real estate, indicate interest on that, and then nobody follows up with me. I know. And some of those are multi-million-dollar deals that somebody follows up one time on. The stats tell me it takes 7 to 15 times, 80% of the time, to convert a prospect, someone who is interested, to someone who actually buys. So is it a high value of your time to stay in the flow and rhythm with a person who indicated interest in buying or selling something? Yes or no? Even if you have to stay with them for 2 years, 67% of people use the very first person that contacts them. Not the best one, not the most experienced one, the first one. You know who I use? People who show up. I don't care if it's a 21-year-old kid or if it's a 46-year-old man. I use people who show up over and over and over. Not long ago, a Cadillac dealership started calling me because we had a Cadillac and we were going to trade that Cadillac in. And a young lady from the dealership was the only person who called me. And she said, Mr. Burt, good morning. She said, I read your book, Flip the Switch, and I'm excited. I want to help you. I know you have a Cadillac. I know that Cadillac is up for lease. I'd like to be the one that helps you with that Cadillac. And over about 3 or 4 times, I finally said, you got the deal. When we go to get a new car, no other person has called me. No other person has followed up with me. No other person has stayed in my life. And the other ones hadn't even read my book. So that's bonus points for you. And I said, so when we go to do a deal, young lady, there is nobody we're going to do that deal with but you. I don't know how good she is. I don't know if she's the best. I don't know if she just got started. But I love her prey drive, which is her instinct to pursue. So is there a wasted movement? Is there a wasted movement if I make a phone call today to somebody? If I encourage somebody today, yes or no? There is no wasted movement. So I want you to think about, what do the percentages tell me? So Newton's law is this. Is it okay if I come off stage? Is it okay if I come off stage and come down here with the folks? Okay? I'm a rebel, so I'm going to do it anyway, okay? And you guys, can you bring the lights up a little bit? I want to get down here with the people. Can they do this? Y'all filming it? Y'all getting nervous? There you go. See? They can bring the lights up. Now I can see your faces. Don't I look so much better close up than on stage? Somebody the other day said, you look so much younger than on your videos. I'm like, I like you. Now, here's what I want to tell you. Newton's law says this: objects at rest stay at rest unless acted on by an outside force. Yes or no? Yes. An object at rest, a person at rest, will stay at rest unless acted on by an outside force. There is no wasted movement. See, as soon as I got in that car, when I got off that plane this morning, I texted people, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. Let's get started. I can't wait to work with you. I can't wait to work with you. See? Bigger, better opportunities coming. Right? Is that? I don't think that's. See? The computer. Here's what. It's something on the computer. Yeah. It's not my computer. Hey, bigger, better opportunities calling. Right? Yes or no? When my phone rings, you know what I say? Bigger, better opportunities calling. You know, I heard say that? Lady Gaga. Somebody knocked on the door. She said, bigger, better opportunities coming. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. I do not come from the real estate world, the real estate coaching world, which makes me a lot different than most real estate coaches. I come from an athletic world. I come from a world of the way we're going to win is that we get in there, we create. And when times are hard, when the economy is tight, versus everybody's making money. I go back to my old days when I had a team that wasn't quite as good as other teams. I actually had to practice more. So before I retired, I'd coming off a season that we were 38-3, which means we won 38 games and we lost 3 games. It was the best season I ever had my whole coaching career. And then I graduated all those great players, and then I had very average players. And everybody expected us to win because all we've been doing is winning and winning and winning. I'm like, how are we going to win with the Bad News Bears? And I said, we're going to practice 6 hours a day. I said, we're going to come in before school, and at lunchtime, and after school. And somehow we won 22 games that year. Put me in retirement, and almost killed me. And I equate that to when the market is tight. And you go, well, I was just doing a half a day. Now it's hard to sell houses. I'm still just doing a half a day. I'm doing the same thing I was when it was easy. And it ain't working today. The way I'm working ain't working. See, in my mind, it's like, well, we're not very good. We need to practice more. We need to make more phone calls. We need to follow up with our past clients. Does everybody see that? We want to play the percentages. So when you think about this, moms and dads would bring their kids to me, and they would say, my daughter has a lot of potential, which is an idea. It's an idea, I'll be better today than I was yesterday. But she just needs something. What do you think they said she needed? Discipline, which is a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. Do you believe in your future? Will you become a disciple to your future? Will you be self-disciplined to your future? Will you work when nobody's there? Will you go take instruction and go do it like Stephanie did? She said, you told me to do an event? I'm doing an event. She didn't question me. She didn't go 15 rounds with me. I said, this is what the biggest mortgage people I do. They become people of interest, right? Everybody knows who they are. They dominate the market. They don't compete in the market. They dominate the market. So moms and dads would bring their kids to me, and I would say, they would say, my daughter has a lot of potential. She just needs these things. And I would say, thank you for bringing your daughter to the Greatness Factory, where we are going to manufacture her greatness. And I started teaching those kids at 14 years old, and I was teaching the 7 habits of highly effective people and principles of good to great and 5 dysfunction. I was building little stone cold killers. Now I want you to remember that Greatness Factory, because today I just built a $7 million building in downtown Nashville called the Greatness Factory. Because in 2016, God gave me a vision and said, build Greatness Factories for adults now. You did it for kids, now do it for adults. One place you can go. You can work here. You can learn here. You can get better here. It has a 109-person theater, podcast studios, co-working, private offices. This is sexy commercial real estate. You know what the so-called experts say today? Don't buy commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is dead. What if I told you I got a waiting list of people trying to get in this building? What if I told you I was renting office space in this building for $6,500 on a 160 square foot office? Because they get the theater, and they get the podcast studio, and they get other people, and there's deal flow. And I had a guy just a few weeks ago from Hawaii came in. I gave him an office for a month, and he came to me and he said, Coach, he said, I've collected more money in the last 3 weeks in my business than any time in history of my business. He said, I've collected $171,000 of cash in just 3 weeks working here at this Greatness Factory. And I said, why is that? He said, man, he said, when you're here, you want to be great. I said, I didn't name it the Complacency Factory. That's across the street. And the doors are wide open over there, yes or no? And a lot of people trying to get in the Complacency Factory. I want you to remember this. The comfort zone is the death zone. The comfort zone is the death zone. So when you think about this, how do we get into this? These are 4 parts of your nature. If I were coaching you, and I am coaching you right now, this is the 4 parts I would look at. The body, that's physical, that's skill. The agents that make the most money are the most skilled. Would you agree with that, yes or no? And skills are, how do you open a conversation? How do you prospect? How do you overcome objection? How do you follow up? Those are skills. Okay, so even social media, being on social media takes a skill. What is your message? What is your mission? What do you have to say? So the most skilled people make the most money. So if you're like, well, I'm not very good at closing. The word close means to bring something to an end. It means to bring 2 things together. Right? When you close the door, you bring 2 things together. When you close the deal, you bring 2 things together. The word convert, I'm going to convert a lead, means I convert interest into action. Okay? And guess what they need? Confidence. Courage. How many of you have a deal right now that is in your pipeline, that is close to making a buying decision, but the only thing they need is some confidence to do that? How many of you say that? How many of you need that? A lot of people in here. Where are they going to get that confidence, by the way? Are they going to get it by watching the news? I don't even watch the news. Like I watched the news one time, I was on the road somewhere, and I called back home to my wife, and I said, lock the doors and get all the guns out. World's coming to the end. We're going to hell in a handbasket. That was only 10 minutes of CNN. Yeah, so I don't even watch the news because I'm not interested. Here's my point. Do you know when I started coaching real estate people? In the recession of 08. I retired from athletic coaching at 31 years old. My first assignment was with the largest home builder of Tennessee, independent home builder. He's building 1,000 homes a year. He was selling 40 homes a week. When he called me, he said, we can't sell 4 a week. He said, Coach, it's almost like everything just turned off. He said, my agents don't know what to do. They don't know how to prospect. Will you come in and coach us? He said, how much is it going to cost me? I go, man, I don't know. I didn't know what to say. I was a basketball coach last week. This week I'm coaching real estate people. And I said, it'd be $125,000. That's just what the first thing come out of my mouth. And he said, let's round it to 20 and get started. Round it to 120 and get started. And I said, well, dang, I should have asked for $225,000. And I started doing a good job coaching him. And he picked up the phone. He called Ralph Huff of H&H Homes. And he said, you got to get this kid coaching you in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I went to Ralph Huff and he said, how much is it going to cost me? And I said, $250,000. He said, done. Next thing you know, I had $400,000. And last week I was making $50,000 a year being a high school basketball coach. Look at how my income jumped. Because I had a skill. And the skill was to keep people motivated and focused and on their future. Everybody see that? See, when we leave here today, the best thing you could do is pick up the phone and call that person and say, man, it seems like you want to do this. It feels like this is exactly what you want to do. it sounds like this is perfect for you. Let's get this thing drawn up so you can have this. And how would you feel, by the way, if somebody else puts this under contract and you don't get it? People are far more motivated by what they'll lose than what they'll gain. So if you have deals in the pipeline, I would say, how would you feel if somebody else buys this house? Because I don't want to make that phone call. See, some of you don't have the boldness. That would be confidence, the spirit. See, all four parts of your nature. I got a body that represents skill. I got a mind that represents knowledge. I got a heart that represents drive and pray drive and energy and a passion. And I got a confidence. See, I am remarkably bold. At 25 years old, I almost got married. Bought an engagement ring. Between the time I bought the ring and I was going to propose to my girlfriend, we broke up. And I was devastated. And I had to take that engagement ring back, and I put that engagement ring on a credit card. I didn't have the money. A $5,000 engagement ring, and I had to get a credit card to get the engagement ring. And I went through 6 months of clinical depression. While I was a head coach, I had to pretend to be happy. I worked in my office 18 hours a day. The only thing that got me through that was work. I slept at my office. I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked, and that's the only thing because I couldn't go 1 second without thinking about that girl, let alone a minute, let alone an hour, right? I took that engagement ring back, and that was one of the loneliest days of my life. And I walked in, I said, I'd like to bring this engagement ring back. And they said, Mr. Burt, why are you bringing this engagement ring back? Is it a broken engagement? And I said, I will punch you in the face right now in this jewelry store. I asked her to marry me. She said no. That is rejection. And I went through 6 months of depression, pretending to be happy. And a person came along in my life, and they said to me, the way you're looking at this is all wrong. I said, what do you mean? I was in love with her. She was not in love with me. She rejected me. What other way should I look at this? And they said, just because she doesn't want what you have to offer doesn't mean lots of other people will not want what you have to offer. And they said, there is no such thing as rejection. Some will, some won't. So what? Just keep on moving. Does everybody hear that? And at 25 years old, I changed my mind about rejection. See, I'm not afraid to ask you for anything. I am remarkably bold. If I was showing you a house this afternoon, I'd walk right out of that house and say, man, it seems like you love it. It seems like both of you guys love it. It's 100 times better than the current house that you currently have. What would stop us from drawing up a contract right now on it? Well, I just need to think about it. Totally understand. But let me ask you a question. I wouldn't be doing a good job as your agent if I don't ask you this. How would you feel if somebody else put this under contract? Because I don't want to call you tomorrow, because that is a possibility. Yes or no? See, I'm not afraid to ask you for something. Right? I have an 11-year-old daughter, about to be 12-year-old, and I take her to eat, and she'll say, Dad, I want some ketchup, and I'll say, ask for ketchup. I'm not doing it for you. Learn how to ask another person for something. See, there is no such thing as rejection. Some will, some won't, so what? See, I am bold. I don't mind. I don't feel, if you say, I don't want you, I don't want to be coach, I don't like this, I don't like that. I didn't get a TV show once because I wasn't tall enough. They didn't like my accent. Right now, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, how do you want me to grow taller? Like, give the TV show to somebody else, because I'm not your guy. If you're looking for somebody who's got a southern accent, 5'6", very handsome, bald-headed, I'm it. That's it, dude. That's it, right? So my point is, when I'm coaching people, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at knowledge. I'm looking at skill. I'm looking at desire. And I'm looking at confidence. And what does desire mean to you? So this is the whole person. Now, why should you be interested in this? Why should you get interested? Why did I call the book Flip the Switch? Because my agent kept asking me, what happens when this prey drive, this drive inside of a person is activated? It's like, I said, it's almost like a switch is flipped in a person's life. How many of you were going along about life, and somebody walked into your life and opened you up your potential, and your whole life changed? Just like that agent I did for back in Tennessee. He was going on like this right here, 35 deals, 35 deals, 35 deals, 35 deals, 35 deals. Something comes on and it was like, boom, boom. Number 43 to freaking number 1. Now, a lot of it has to do with him. Great student, read the book, showed up, did what I asked him to do, didn't complain about it. You with me? This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How many of you saw this in school at some point? See, I saw this when I was going through school, and I didn't really understand it. And basically what it says is our goal should be self-actualization, which means our goal should be to reach our deepest human potential. Come as close to our deepest human potential that we can. Now, I'm in the study of regrets right now. I don't know why, but I just got interested in it. And what they found when they did studies of thousands of people is that people have 4 regrets. One was called a foundational regret. It's like things you should have known and you should have done, but you didn't do. You should have known to save some money, right? So at some point later in the future, you don't have the money because you didn't save any money. You didn't invest any money. You should have done this. You should have done it. These are called foundational regrets. It's like, I should have done these things. Somebody should have taught me this, but I didn't do it, and now I'm suffering some type of consequence later in life. Then there's what's called boldness regrets. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the boldness to go do something. I could have, I was capable of, but I didn't. Remarkably bold people do things, even when there's a chance of failure. Then there's called moral regrets, which are bad decisions, ethical things, right? And everybody struggles in some kind of area. And then the fourth one was connection regrets. I regret sometimes that I don't stay as close to my mom as I should. My mom was always there for me. My mom built me into the person I am today. And she's right when she tells me you should be calling me more. Everybody with me? You don't want to get to the end of your life and say, I had connection regrets. There were people who so into your life that you don't talk to anymore, you don't spend time with. And at later in life, you go, man, I really regret that. Those are 4 regrets that people have, right? And so when you think about it, it's like I'm trying to get to my deepest human potential, but most people can't get to their deepest human potential and reach that self-actualization without a person in their life, a coach, a mentor, somebody pushing them, go, come on, let's go, get up, quit whining, let's do this. Because the truth is, I made a decision that day I was taking that engagement ring back. Never place your destiny in somebody else's hands again. See, when you use the word like it's the economy, and I wish the interest rates would lower, and all of these things are outside of your control. You cannot control that one thing. There's nothing you can do to change that, right or wrong. You may be able to vote for somebody different, you may be able to do this, but at the end of the day, that is totally outside of your control. And when you use those things that you don't perform, you are taking your destiny and you're placing your destiny in other people's hands. Right? And you're disempowering yourself and you're allowing somebody else to control me. I don't use those excuses because I started this business in the middle of a recession. And I found out in the middle of a recession, there were some people said I can't afford coaching, and other people said I can't live without coaching. I was signing 6-figure contracts in the middle of a recession. So when the cycles turn and people go, Coach, is it hard to sell coaching in the middle of a bad economy? No, I don't even think about that. It's like I'm trying to hit a number every day. By the way, my number is 41,667.67. I start at 0 every day. Every day I wake up, I go to 0. It all goes to 0 at midnight. My bracelet says we go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. Today don't care about yesterday. So my number that I'm trying to hit every day in my coaching business is 41,667. You say, why that number? Because that's $10 million a year. If I do that 5 days a week, if I just sell 41,667 per day, that's right, 333.33 per 30 days. If I do that 12 times, that's $10 million. That's a long way from being a high school basketball coach, folks. You with me? So my point to you is this is what we're looking for. Now, when we're looking at this, that's championship night. Ain't nothing like being champion, folks. That's something nobody will be able to take away from me. That night right there. And you know what? I did interviews all after the night. I was ready to go celebrate. I was ready to go boot scoop somewhere and have a good time, and nothing was open. So I took a gold basketball to Steak and Shake. And I walked into Steak and Shake with this big old gold basketball, and I set that basketball down. And he said, what, sir, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I just won a championship. It took me 13 years to win that gold ball right there, to win this one ring right here. It took me 13 years of my life, 80-hour work week, 7 days a week. Used to go to church on Sunday morning, get up and go straight to my office after church every Sunday for 13 years for this one night. And I said, I'm going to sit right over here and eat a double steak burger because I'm hungry. And on Monday morning, I took it back to the principal and I said, okay, put it in the trophy case. What's next? I stayed one more year, and then I retired to do what I do today. Because I felt like a level 10 person stuck in a level 4 vehicle. And I felt like I could go around the world to do this. So what do you need to activate your drive? And then along the way I wrote all these books, because people would always ask me, what are you doing? How are you doing with these kids? I sat down and started writing books. The more books I wrote, the more people wanted me to speak. The more people wanted me to speak, the more they said, will you coach my team? And it kind of built this whole cycle, right? And I would go speak for free. See, this is what people don't want to do today. I would go Rotary clubs. I call it the bad chicken circuit. It's where they didn't have any money to pay me, but they would feed me bad chicken. And I would go speak for free and speak for free. Why should you be doing events? See, I told Stephanie today, the key to the many is to the one. There's one of you in here that's looking for somebody who's ready to go pro. There's one of you that's dissatisfied with the mortgage relationship you have. There's one of you in here that says, I'm ready to work with somebody who's the real deal. There's one of you in here that said, I'm going to go work with the woman who's got some boldness. The key to the many is to the one. I did an event one night, 2 people showed up. It's $47 a ticket. My assistant tried to get me to cancel it. And on the break, the woman came to me and she said, sir, I'm the CEO of a $40 million company, and you are exactly what we've been looking for. She said, come see me tomorrow. I went and saw her the next day. I signed a 4-year, $450,000 contract the next day. You know what that told me? Don't matter if one person shows up or 500 show up. You be your best every time. So when Stephanie did this event, 150 people signed up and 55 showed up. I said, hey girl, key to the many is to the one. All we're looking for one person, right? One person. That led me to that stage right there, Mandalay Bay. We've done over $2 million in business for me speaking on that one stage. And it came from one relationship, just one. One relationship that I worked 7 years. 7 years I worked a relationship. No ways to move, follow up, engagement, text messages, follow up, boom, right? One leads to one day. Wait, we're ready for you. Good, let's go. Because I just kept pushing, and I just kept pushing, and I just kept pushing. Now, I'm going to give you 5 things, and then we're going to get you out of here. This is what Pray Drive is. When you hear me use the word Pray Drive, I trademark these 2 words. How many of you have a dog? And you have a sweet little dog, and you say, this dog would never hurt anybody. See, if that dog's Pray Drive is activated, Preydrive, you would not want to be alone in a room with that dog. So I'm sitting at a conference one day, and this Vietnam veteran's talking about Pray Drive. I'm like, what is he talking about? So I Google it. And it says, Pray Drive is an animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. And I'm like, bingo. That sounds like a good salesperson. Yes or no? They see it, they pursue it, they capture it. They see it, they pursue it. And then I come out with my own definition. I go, you know what? So I trademark these 2 words, Pray Drive. I'm the only person on planet Earth that can talk about these 2 words in humans. And I said, I'm going to be the number one leading authority in the world at activating that drive inside of people. See, some of you come today and you're in a dormant state. You were dynamic at one period of your life, now you're static. You were dynamic, you were growing, you were alive, you were vibrant. That was attractive to the market. You're getting leads. Then you got static, stuck, complacent, bored. And if you don't change that, we go entropic, which is disintegration. In life, you're either growing or you're dying, folks. It's that simple. The minute a plant stops growing, it starts dying. The minute a person, you know how many people I see that are alive but dead around the world? Do you know how many people I see that have incredible talent that have not activated that talent? Do you know how many people I see that have this drive inside of them, but nobody's walked into their life and activated that drive? It ain't a few people, folks. It's thousands of people around the country. See, last week I was in Springfield, Missouri, and I'm doing a cruise this weekend with 500 real estate agents. Okay? And I said, I'd be happy to do the cruise. I just like a big, grand suite. And they said, we'd be happy to accommodate you, Mr. Burt. I'll never be able to go back to a regular room after this, folks. I'll never be the same when I go on a cruise. So I want you to think about this. There's 3 phases of this drive. Number 1, this drive must be activated. I suspect 55 people in this room, some of you, this drive has never been activated. You've never had a coach like me, somebody who's intense and positive, somebody who will push you, somebody who'll say, you can do this, let's go. Your Pray Drive has never been activated. Number 2, once it's activated, there must be a persistence in it. I don't like prospecting any more than you do. You understand? I don't like following up 7 to 15 times to get a deal across the finish line. But on the way over here today, I closed $40,000 worth of deals. You know why? Because I'm just bumping people. Good morning, it's good to see you. I can't wait to get you going. All I need to do is sign that agreement. Sign that agreement and make that payment and let's get you started. One guy said, I'm in. Next dude said, boom, it's on its way. Boom, I signed it this morning. They wanted to do it. People want to work with you, but they're scared for whatever reason. And you got to come along and go, man, I'm excited about working with you. This is going to be incredible. You're going to love this new house that you're getting into. And it is beautiful. You got to reassure. You got to give people confidence. And I say I got enough confidence for me and you. You with me? Because when you're scared, you're waiting on courage to come. The courage ain't coming. Commitment comes first. Then the courage comes. Then the confidence happens. Everybody follow me here? You don't start with courage, folks. You start with a commitment. Okay? So I want you to think, number 1, the Pray Drive must be activated. And some of you, this is activating your Pray Drive today. You're sitting there going, man, I ought to be doing X number of deals. I'm better than this. I should be playing at a higher frequency. If you could get yourself there by yourself without the help of another person, you'd have already done it. Yes or no? This is why people hire people like me. This is why people want to go at other levels, because they need somebody pushing and encouraging them and creating a little bit of tension. Third phase of pray driving is intensity. And intensity is, I want to use another word here, an energy. See, I'm intense, but I'm positive. 22 to 25, I was intense and negative. Threw a lot of clipboards, probably said some bad words. Acted a fool, young, on fire, didn't know how to control it. I didn't win any championships during that period. 25 years old, I go, I'm going to be intense, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be a guy people love to play for. You with me? 23% of the players in the NFL said they could play for one coach that played for Pete Carroll. And they asked why. Is he easy to play for? No, he said he's one of the hardest coaches to ever play for. He's incredible expectation, but man, he has a lot of fun showing up every day and being a coach. And most of the pros, but I'd like to play for a dude like that. Intense and positive. How many of you know in today's world it's easy to get cynical? You wake up, it's easy to get cynical, and you get down on people, and everybody's lazy, and everybody's this, and it's so easy to become cynical. Nobody's buying a house. This is hard. This is what's called the sewer cycle. The sewer cycle starts with one negative thought. Here's what the thought is. Man, it's going to be hard to sell a house right now. Interest rates are high. That one negative thought has a negative subconscious emotion attached to it. Insecurity, fear, doubt, worry. That has a negative physiological effect on the body. Tightens the body up. How easy is it to sell when you're all tight? You got to make a commission. And I got to get this deal. My whole family's going to go hungry for weeks. See? Starts with one negative thought. Positive thought is the success cycle. It's going to be fun today, man. We're going to do this. We're going to put some deals together. We're going to meet some new people. That positive thought produces a positive subconscious emotion. This is fun. I got enthusiasm, energy, good stress. Produces a positive physiological effect. I'm loose. See how loose I am with you? This is how I say it. It ain't tight. I'm not playing not to lose. I've already made up my mind. I'm only looking for people that are looking for me. I've already made up my mind it's to your benefit to move forward with me. I've already made up my mind that a good coach can change a person's life. So I've already made up my mind that I don't ever lose. I may learn, but I don't lose. And if you choose not to do business with me, here's what I say. Some will. Some won't. What? Somebody's waiting. 8 billion people on planet Earth. There is no shortage. There is no shortage of money. There is no shortage of opportunity. I live in Nashville, downtown Nashville. That's where my building is. If you think we're in a bad economy, come to Nashville on a Friday night. People spend $1,000 at Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, and they're eating a $500 steak at Jeff Ruby's, and there's hundreds of thousands of people, but hey, we're in a bad economy. Nobody's got any money. Folks, come on. There's so much opportunity out there, you can't even get to all of it. Yes or no? I'm producing about 1,500 to 2,000 leads a month. You know what I'm most frustrated with? That I can't even get to all of them. There's leads that I can't even get to. I can't even hire enough people to get on board, to get on the phone, to call people. That's just from getting out in the world and just, right? And if I retired today and became a real estate agent, you know what I would do? Everything I'm currently doing. I have the podcast, I write the books, I go out and speak. I wouldn't just sit there and wait on somebody to call me. I would create movement. So look right there and tell me where you struggle. Is it activation? Daily. How often do you have to activate the prayer drive, by the way? Every single day. We go to bed tired, and we wake up what? What if I told you the pros, they're tired too? I've been doing this 33 years. I started when I was 15 years old. You don't think I wake up tired sometimes? You don't think I wake up sometimes and go, I don't feel like motivating people today. See, I'm doing 3 events here today. I'm leaving you and going to do a mortgage event. Then I'm leaving there and going over Winston-Salem to do another event. Then I'm getting on a plane. Then I'm going back. Then I'm doing a full day event tomorrow. Then I'm getting on a cruise ship to do it again for 500 real estate agents. Then I'm getting out there going to West Palm Beach. You don't think that even pros wake up and go, man, I don't feel like doing this today. But you know what pros know how to do? Flip the switch, baby. The professional football player don't feel like getting hit the ball on Sundays. But they get paid millions of dollars to catch that football. The professional real estate agents don't feel like prospecting every day, but they get up every day and they do it. They don't feel like following up, but they get up every day and they do it. They don't care. They don't feel like having a good attitude on, but they get up every day and they do it. And you know why? Because they don't listen to their feelings. The professionals activate the prayer drive. So let's close with this. This been good for you? You guys have fun with this today? I do want to thank you for coming. Can you give yourself a hand for actually showing up today? Because When James Clear wrote the book Atomic Habits, he talks about in the book Atomic Habits, by the way, it was the #1 best-selling book of last year. I kind of got mad at him because it outsold my book. And atom is a tiny thing. And he talks about, in the book, a guy getting up in the morning and going to the gym. But he only stayed for 5 minutes. And the first thing a lot of people say is, oh, you could never get in shape in 5 minutes. He had to get up in the morning. He had to get dressed. He had to drive to the gym. Now, how much ahead is he than most people? See, when I'm in town, I get up at 4:30 when I'm back in Nashville, and I go to the gym at 5 a.m. and I box. That's my favorite preferred high-intensity workout. 30 minutes of boxing, 30 minutes of functional fitness. I never feel like it. I don't even speak at the gym. When people found out I wrote books, they're like, there is no way that dude writes books. He don't even talk to people. People come up to me and they say, Coach Burt, got to activate that prey drive. I'm like, it is 4:59, you idiot. I don't want to talk. Like, get out of my face. I am here to get activated. I am not here to coach people right now. I am here to try to get myself together. And I never feel like it. But when I'm finished, private victories precede public victories. I listened to a sermon on the way in, fed my faith. Got my workout in, fed my body. Go home and spend time. Now I get home, I got time. I got space. Nobody in the house is up yet. It's only 6 a.m. Then I spend time with my 3 kids from 6 to 7. 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 11-year-old. Feeds my heart. Then when I'm getting dressed and fixing my hair in the morning, I watch something on business. Feeds my mind. By 7:30, I went from being tired and unmotivated to activated. And I'm like, let's go do this today. And after 33 years of doing this, showing up every day, motivating people, even on days I don't feel like it, I know how to flip that switch. And that's why you're here today. You may have came for Stephanie, you may have came because you want to get something, but you came for a reason. You came to get better. You came because you have a potential inside of you that could be activated to a higher level. There may be a person here doing 35 deals that has 200 deals in them if they just had the structure, if they just had the team, and if they just learned how to do it, and they just had the knowledge and the skill and the desire and the confidence. So I don't know where you are, but if you want to talk to me about anything, I do strategy. If you ain't serious, don't schedule. But if you are serious, you schedule those calls. I did that in Springfield last week where I sat there literally after I spoke the next few days, I sat in the lobby, took 15-minute meetings with people. And they come to me and they said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. And I go, this is exactly how you can get there based on me coaching the best people in the world. Now, I'll close with this. So Jana at CoachBurt.com, and she's here. You can see her on the way out and say hello to her. She manages my schedule and helps. She's an integrator, former military officer, and she is one bad little woman. Okay, so when you see her out there, say hi to her. And I'll close with this. I brought some people with me who traveled with me today, and they wanted to go and kind of see how we do this. And some of the best learning you'll ever do is observe it. Would you agree? See, I called a billionaire one day and I said, I want to spend a day with you. And I said, you don't even have to talk to me. You don't even have to look at me. If I could just sit over in the corner with my notebook and watch you work. And I just sat over in the corner and the dude just had 10 businesses. He called every business. At 9 a.m. he started checking on this business, then he checked on this business, then he checked on this business, and I'm over here just watching, taking notes. You don't have to look at me, just keep working. And I'm watching a pro, this old country boy from West Tennessee that went on to be a billionaire, owned a bank. He just went public with the company. Went from $600 million to $1 billion. This old country boy that lived in a tent growing up. And I'm sitting there watching this dude work, and then I watch how he interacts with people. And then about midday, he said, Coach, let's go have some lunch. I said, yes, sir. See, what'd you lunch? He said, tell me what you're trying to do, Coach, and let me help you. See, by noon, he was coaching me. By noon, he's like, I think you should do this, and I think you should do this. You know the only thing I had in the equation? The boldness to ask him to spend the day with him. When's the last time you spent the day with a pro? When's the last time you watched a pro work? When's the last time you've been around somebody that maybe makes millions of dollars? When's the last time you've been around? When's the last time you've had the boldness to go, I want to be in a room. I want to be in a room with you. What do I got to do to be in that room? Because that's what I've done my whole life. Me invested 18 grand to learn how to write a bestseller. Me paying some of the best coaches in the world to coach me on connection and follow-up and all these things. So let's close with this. I've been asked to speak at 2 funerals where I did not know the person personally. And they said, Coach, will you come give the eulogy at this funeral because they don't have a pastor and they don't have a lot? And I said, I'd be happy to. And I said, I need to talk to a coworker, I need to talk to a friend, I need to talk to a family member. And give me the numbers of these people because I need to call them and ask them some questions. And I called a coworker and I said, man, tell me about their dreams. Did they have any dreams? They said, well, no, they didn't have any dreams, Coach. Tell me about something they had going on in their life that they were excited about. I said, well, they really didn't have a lot they were excited about. Tell me how many people they helped while they were here on planet Earth. They lived 84 years old. They had to help a lot of people. And I said, well, they really didn't help a lot of people. That was the answers I got. I went to give the eulogy at the funeral, and there were less than 34 people there. You know what it's like to give the eulogy at a funeral for a person that lived 84 years on planet Earth and you don't have anything to say? What am I going to say? They didn't have any dreams. They didn't help any people. They weren't excited about anything. They really weren't doing anything. What do you say at a funeral when you don't have anything to say? And I left that meeting that day, and it had such an impression on me. And I called my wife, and I said, we cannot go out like this. If we're going to spend our whole life, we're going to help so many people. We're going to build greatness factories. We're going to do so many big things in the world that when our life is over, there won't be 34 people there. There'll be thousands of people there. And they won't even get to talk about all the things we're going to do. They may pick the top 3 things that we did because of all the things we got to do. And this ain't going to be easy. Matter of fact, it's going to be real inconvenient. Helping a lot of other people is going to be real inconvenient. It's going to be long nights and early mornings, and I'm going to be on the road and away from family. And like this is a bigger calling. This is a bigger mission than selling a house or making a little bit of money. Because I don't want to have one of those 4 regrets at the end of my life. Are you in or are you out? And that's the question I would ask you today. Are you in or are you out? Do you keep doing the same thing you've been doing? Or do you start going, man, I got a bigger play. I got to play a bigger level. It's time for me to go pro in my life. So Stephanie, wherever you are, I want to say thank you. I owe you, because I tell a lot of people to go do things. Very few of them go do it. But you did it. And this is an incredible start to a big journey. So let's give her a big hand. And thank you. Thank you. I owe you, all right? God bless you, God. Thank you.